I missed my train to teach one chess endgame. And 13 years later, the student I waited for built an AI that teaches inmates to think. My name is Marek Solace. In my pocket, I keep a bone-white knight from a travel set. Its ear is cracked. A small, stubborn flaw that turns in my fingers when I need to remember. Pressure does not have to break you. It can mark you. And you can still move like an L. On the morning the story started, the platform clock read 09:12. I had an interview 2 cities away. One of those conversations that pretends to choose you but really asks if you'll choose yourself. Coffee in hand, I opened my phone to review answers that sounded like someone I wished I already was. That's when I heard a voice. Is the Lucena real or just another YouTube trick? He was 19, eyes like a locked door deciding, backpack sagging with court papers peeking out. Name was Jalen Orick. On the table, a tiny plastic board and 2 rooks stared at each other like rivals who'd outlived their reasons. It's real, I said. It's a way to build a bridge in a storm. Even with pieces shouting, there's a quiet path. He laughed, not unkindly. There's never a quiet path where I play. The departure board coughed up my platform number like permission. I should have left. Instead, I sat. I drew a square of chalk on the cafe table, a little prison with a door you had to notice to open. We'll do it with hands, not screens, I said. You move, I'll ask. We set the Lucena position. White rook up, pawn ready to queen, king sheltering, black rook pinning from behind. Jalen tried the obvious route. Rush the pawn. I blocked with the rook. He sighed, the sound of a plan dying without witnesses. Bridge before glory, I said, sliding the white rook sideways to build the shield that every book forgets to name brave. Make space so your king can step out. Don't race, prepare. He nodded. I watched the nod roll through him like the first serotonin after a long winter. When I can't go forward, I can go sideways. And that counts as progress. The clock flipped to 09:13. My train left without me. I felt my life take a step I had not signed for. Why are you doing this? Jalen asked. Because someone once taught me that opposition isn't just you versus them. It's you versus your hurry. I placed my cracked knight by his thumb. Keep this. It's ugly. It still works. When you panic, turn it over and remember that not every path is straight. I missed the interview. The job went to a person who could afford to be on time. My manager said words like responsibility that, to be fair, I owed him. My father texted a single line. You can't feed yourself with principles. I slept badly for a season. Then I showed up at the shelter on Wednesdays with a bag of mixed pieces, and we taught each other how to lose with grace and still keep a plan. People think chess teaches checkmate. It teaches waiting. Jalen learned to wait usefully. He took an expulsion and turned it into a GED, a graveyard shift, and a cheap laptop with a keyboard that stuttered on the letter E. He failed calculus first twice. He passed logic because he'd already practiced arguing with himself. He built an app in a rented storage unit that smelled like old bicycles. He called it SquareOne because that's where everyone starts when life flips the board. It didn't scream answers. It asked questions. Where's the bridge? What can move without being chased? If you can't go forward, what sideways step creates room? He released it, and the internet did what the internet does. Laughed, yawned, stole ideas, came back later pretending not to. He turned comments into test cases. On nights when the storage unit froze, he warmed his hands over a space heater that sounded like rain. I kept his paper ticket stub, the one stamped 0912, in my wallet, next to an ID card that got me through doors my heart didn't want. On Thursdays, I moved kings and rooks with men whose hands shook for reasons they did not tell me. We built small bridges anyway. Then a letter arrived for Jalen. Department of Corrections. Education pilot invitation. A warden with a chessboard in his office wanted proof that SquareOne could teach thinking, not trivia. We're not interested in games, he said. We're interested in choices. Jalen smiled. Same. Demo day was a storm disguised as Tuesday. No Wi-Fi. Power dips like someone upstairs had a grudge. The rook bridge lesson refused to load. The printed diagrams were wrong, mirrored. A cruel little misprint that turns help into a trap. Jalen looked at the inmates gathered in the gym, men with faces that kept their own weather. He reached for his backpack and realized the original chalk sketch, the one with the little prison square and the door, was gone. He closed his eyes, hands open at his sides, as if to ask the air for a move. 13 years after the cafe, I walked into that gym with my volunteer lanyard and a hope small enough to hide under my tongue. Security said, "Not on the list." I stepped aside. On the bleachers, I saw Jalen Orick, older, steadier, carrying the kind of calm you only get by paying retail. He didn't see me. He didn't have to. I took a stub of chalk from the scorer's table and tapped my pocket. 3 soft clicks against the cracked night. He turned toward the sound like a person in a dark house who knows the floorboards by name. Our eyes met. Nothing in his face said Marek. Everything in his shoulders said, "I know that move." I walked to the corner of the gym where a patch of painted concrete waited like a page. I drew the small square. I set up the Lucena with a few plastic pieces pulled from the shelter bag I never stopped carrying. I wrote one word above the line. Bridge. Jalen took a breath. One of those breaths you can hear across a room. He lifted the tablet from the cart but didn't turn it on. "Gentlemen," he said, voice a low, steady river. "Today isn't about rooks. It's about room." He pointed at the square. Most of us have learned to push until we break. Today, we're going to learn to make space and step out without running. He moved the rook sideways. He waited. He told the story of getting pinned from behind by a life that wanted a confession, not a plan. He showed the king's step, the little escape you don't see until you promise to look twice. He asked the room a SquareOne question. Where else can you build a bridge before you try to be a hero? Something unclenched. Men who normally competed the loudest got quiet the fastest. A man with a tear-picked sweatshirt whispered, "So, sometimes the right move is a pause." Jalen nodded. "Sometimes the bravest path isn't forward. It's sideways with faith." The warden watched, arms crossed, the way you watch a rumor trying to become a system. He uncrossed them. "Pilot approved," he said, not smiling because some kinds of permission work better without it. That night, the gym smelled like dust and a new kind of clean. After the session, when the cart rattled and the guards had begun counting, Jalen walked to the corner where I was chalk erasing my square with the heel of my hand. He didn't say thank you. He did something better. He opened his palm. Inside, my bone-white knight, ear still cracked, years of pocket miles making it shine like a truth. He set it on the line where the bridge had been and slid a small box toward me. "SquareOne doesn't start with code anymore," he said. "It starts with positions like this, and the first lesson is called Lucena in life. We teach how to build room, to step out clean, to name the difference between hurry and plan." He took a breath. "Come teach with us? We need someone to keep asking the right questions when the power goes out." I picked up the knight. It felt lighter than it had any right to be. We didn't make speeches. We stood in a gym that had learned for one evening to hold 2 truths at once. That people can be dangerous, and that people can be taught to be careful with themselves. Somewhere in the tears, a man practiced saying bridge under his breath as if the word itself could hold him until morning. On the far wall, a poster read, "Transition planning starts with a pause." I put the knight back in my pocket. The crack caught my thumb. We let the quiet do the work.